Welcome to Menopause Madness again, ladies. So, I'm going to share with you some things that I talked about in my recent speaking uh, engagement with the Menopause Summit. For those of you who missed it, a lot of focus was spent on neuroplasticity in my talk and understanding the power of your thoughts. I've shared this in some of my other videos. I will share more about how what I learned from the summit was primarily about how your thoughts are affecting you, and some different things that came up that I noticed in the other talks. I will also share with you some cool new biotech that pertains to neuroplasticity and how all this ties in together with the power you have to help make your menopause journey more joyful and energetic for you. So let's get started. Okay, so throughout my presentation, I pointed out that 95% of the dis-ease in the body comes from your stress levels. And primarily that comes from your emotional stress, thoughts that you have about how things should or shouldn't be. It goes a little deeper and it gets into the subconscious, those things that are stories we've had for so long that we don't even notice that they're there. They're just running in the background. And those stories can then create situations where we're constantly creating these feelings and situations for ourselves. I recently watched a video reel that was an interview of Deepak Chopra, I think is how you say it. And he was sharing how, let's say you go into a dark alley and you feel fear, then that emotion then creates something physical. So we are constantly in a state of creation. So again, if you're creating thoughts, or rather having thoughts that are creating emotions that are then creating some physical reality, this is what you're noticing in your body during menopause. All of those unfelt emotions that are now manifesting as symptoms of some sort. And also, your body is going through a shift, a change. One of my favorite talks during the summit was a woman talking about us becoming butterflies. But what most people fail to remember is, butterfly is quite beautiful, but it starts out as a caterpillar that goes into this cocoon that basically dissolves into a pile of mush and becomes a butterfly. So a lot of changes are happening, and when you can reframe those, which is another part of my talk, then you can shift some of those things. And that doesn't necessarily mean that all of your symptoms are going to go away. It means that you can replace those patterns, those thought patterns, with something that disrupts them into a more pleasant flow. And potentially over time, those new thought patterns can create new types of health. And sometimes even much more rapidly than that. One of the other stories I heard was from a woman who was talking about how she had been through a very traumatic physical experience where she had some herniated discs and was doing all the therapy and whatnot to resolve that situation. And she thought she was past it. And then one day she stepped out of the shower the wrong way or whatever, and the pain came back flooding, and it was so bad she could only literally stand for 60 seconds before she would have to take a 15-minute break to recuperate. And she got really discouraged and really depressed and recognized that she was just done. She didn't want to be here anymore. And intuitively, she recognized that, after she talked herself out of committing suicide, she recognized okay, some things that I can do to help relieve myself is to forgive. So she systematically started forgiving all of these people and situations in her life and really accepting what was there and making peace with it. And the next day, she woke up still, achy, like sore, like after a workout or something. But the excruciating pain was gone. And, this ties in not only with the power of our thoughts, but also breaking those patterns. And that's done through a process of surrender, letting go of what you think things ought to be and just accepting what is. Um, One of the other things that I mentioned in my talk is when you're in this state of frustration, how your heart rate variability is affected by that. You're not in a flow. You're in this kind of crazy pattern, right? Um, and you're resisting, and you're causing all this stress in your body. So if in that situation you can choose to focus on something that you're grateful for, then you can immediately shift that energy as well. And in so doing, you're literally influencing the entire body, because our emotions are not just um, chemicals, or that are carried by hormones, but they are electromagnetic chemicals. So you're actually creating um, like what I mentioned with Deepak Chopra, how he talked about you're physically creating with using emotions. And this is true on a much deeper level, that you're physically creating your reality of what's happening, attracting, or manifesting, more accurately, what's happening in your life. And um, so shifting those emotions ties in as well with creating a new state of health. This relates to part of the talk that I gave on a book called The Biology of Belief by, lost his name, it'll come to me, Bruce Lipton, and how he says that, they've dubbed 95%, scientists have dubbed 95% of the proteins as junk proteins because they didn't know what to call them. These junk proteins are actually running the show. They are potentiality. Whereas DNA is, it was either 5% or 2% of the proteins in our body are represented by DNA. And that's kind of the default program. It's the blueprint, if you will. It's the fallback, but it's actually not running the show if we choose otherwise. So it's reprogramming your emotional state to respond in a different way, which then resets your whole body. So I was listening to a video today, and it was this one that relates to this biotech that I'll mention. And they said, you've got, what most people have heard of, homeostasis, where your body is trying to reach that level of balance, what feels right. And there's another term called um, allostasis, which is when you have been in a certain pattern for long enough, then that's your brain will finally say, like, screw it, this is the new norm, and it'll reset to that new level, which is not not better. It's just your brain's done fighting with it. So in order to reset back to homeostasis rather than allostasis, you have to again rewire the neural network. And again, that's going to require changing of thoughts and changing of emotions to allow that to take place, because your body is now set in this new program. The cool biotech that I'm excited to share with you guys is something called Super Patch. And if you're looking for someone to purchase them from, I have a friend who's recently taken that up, and I will get her link information if possible, or maybe just put her name in the contact or in the description. Anyway, these patches, how they work is they were produced by a man who's an engineer, and he understood based on a lost my thought. It'll come to me, and I'm feeling a little stressed. So I'm letting that thought go because I don't have any editing for this. um, so this guy designed these based on reflexology and acupuncture, understanding that the skin has a communication system with ion channels, which allow us to communicate with the cells. These things either turn on or off, which comes back to the junk proteins. So they turn on or off based on the information that's being sent to them, which comes back to the neural networks and the hormones. So he created these patches that are used they're designed in different patterns and applied to the skin. And each of them have their own specific pathway that they're targeting. They're specific to single pathways. They can't be used in more complex pathways. So unfortunately, they don't have any yet for women's hormones because we've got a more complex system than men do. But there are other supporting pathways that could potentially provide some relief. I'm still learning about them myself. What I would say is there's one in particular that I'm going to try, and I'll report back to you guys, but it's the name that they gave this patch is Peace, and it's meant to help with adrenal glands. And I've talked in several videos about how cortisol plays a big part, which I also talked about in my presentation. As you reduce those stress levels by changing your thoughts, and also, diet and exercise are important as well, but that thought pattern piece is the biggest. Then you can shift those things. Like I mentioned, shifting from frustrated to appreciation. So this would be a physical support, and the way that it works, basically, I don't entirely understand it, and I probably won't because of the advanced technology that's involved. The way that it works is it disrupts the signal that your brain is sending out that's been on this kind of recurring loop. They even have ones for pain. And in so doing, it is allowing your brain to kind of reset. However, they did mention that as soon as you take them off, then that relief is gone. So what I'm excited about testing out is a combination of using these patches, which act as a constant flow of disrupting that old signal that's like, for example, that like they used in the explanation in her video, ow, that hurts, ow, that hurts, ow, that hurts. And you've got that playing in the background and your body is stressing about the stress that you're creating. So it's like this compounded effect, like interest on debt that you owe. So as you disrupt that signal, then you're providing an opportunity for a new signal to come in. But if you're not, then also providing new input other than just the patch doing it for you, if you're not also choosing new thoughts and canceling those other ones and just reminding yourself, like with any new thought pattern that you're trying to create or old one that you're trying to get rid of, like, no, we don't want that. Yes, we want that. Then the patch just becomes a crutch, so to speak. They even referred to it that way, like a neurological crutch. The body's job is to heal. The device or the pill or whatever it is you take externally is just your permission slip. It's supporting the body while the body does what the body does. Um, and really, it's you that's doing it. When I say you, I mean your awareness. So choosing differently, consciously choosing differently. Um, is there anything else I shared about the biotech thought process? Um, Shifting thoughts, subconsciously looking, becoming more meta aware and looking at what subconscious thoughts you're having that you can let go. And there's an exercise that I learned from a spiritual teacher. His name is Brian Ridgway. He asks the question, where'd you get that shit? And this ties in also with a video I posted on my Logic of Spirituality page on Facebook, called New German Medicine. And in that type of medicine, what they've realized is that they can correlate an anomaly in the brain with some dysfunction in the body, whatever that organ might be, and recognizing that it was some form of trauma that created that health issue in the first place. You got stuck in a rut, like a broken record. You're just playing the same awful song over and over, and until that gets disrupted, like with these patches or other ways, then you are not going to. You're going to continue to have that issue in your body. So I'm excited about the possibility. I recognize it's a commitment, but also the alternative, like there's no wrong choice here, but there's what you prefer. So how much are you willing to put forth an effort to let go of those old limiting beliefs and put forth some new ones? Walk into that state of potentiality and write a new story. Powerful stuff. Our mind is extremely powerful and way more than what I've expressed here. Um, but I'm excited to pass along this information. I hope it was helpful. I've enjoyed sharing it. Um, Let me know if you have any comments or questions. I love talking about this stuff. So there you go. And as always, make it a great day.